Okay, folks, turn 21. This was a good turn. Very good turn. I did fail to infiltrate Pangaea, unfortunately, but other than that, it was great. Didn't find any magic sites in Anasia. So Anasia, we're searching with New U to find earth sites and fire sites, if possible, and nature. While Yazi jumps down here, and then he is going to back up into Oak Beach in order to search there. We're gonna have some people, a couple more people casting arcane probing. Like, I think 2 folks casting arcane probing is probably enough. They'll just slowly, so Haochu and Erlang here will spam out their arcane probing to cover the Empire and find all the astral sites we can. Our astral income is pretty decent, but it's not fantastic. Overall, magic resources, good. 16, 23, 27. So I'm doing well on gems, but I would like to be doing even better. We're going to try to infiltrate Pangaea again, just because I really want to get dim graphs. Meanwhile, we fought Empythene, and we took out the Knight Besiegers on the strength of our Ministry Footmen primarily, our Ministry Guardsmen, sorry. So you see the Knights charged in there, they wiped out one of my Imperial Horsemen, then they got surrounded by the Glaives, and since the Glaives have such high damage, they did manage to chop down the Heavy Cavalry. And half the time it's piercing damage. It chooses randomly between Slash and Pierce. So Slash does extra damage after protection, and Pierce reduces protection by 20%, which can definitely help. So we took him out. We only lost a couple of units. And so remember I said I'd made a mistake and I was having to move back from Range of Light. So Range of Light was this province right here that Nazca was moving in because they were going for that palisade. So Ulm attacked us in Range of Light just as I moved out. So he sent most of his troops, a big front line of pikeneers, some infantry of Ulm and black plate infantry on each side, and in the middle a big blob of guardians with his prophet, Tulka. He also has a hero in the back, Elias the Adventurer, and several war dogs. Ulmish war dogs, by the way, are adorable. They're not very effective, but they're cheap and they have 15 protection, so you can use them as chaff very, very easily. And their HP is a little bit lower than human. Also, they are size 1, so you can stack 6 of them in a square. And they're adorable puppy dogs. Anyway, so he wiped out my little province defense I left, and then Nazca rolled in. And so Nazca has his whole Great Wacken army, 2 units of mercenaries out front. He's got a bunch of Akok-Runas and some human warriors. And then, of course, he has the Akok-Runa spearmen, a few Condor warriors, and a bunch of Condors. And his bless is appropriately ridiculous. If you recall, we looked at it earlier, I believe. Morale +2, attack +2, shock weapons, blood surge, and luck. So a very powerful defensive buff, plus the shock weapons and the blood surge. That's rough. That is rough. And so Ulm charged ahead, started fighting the mercenaries. Their prophet got murked by the birds, and then the birds landed. Started killing everybody. And Ulm's troops routed once their commanders were killed. So, Nazca wiped them out. Nazca did take losses in this battle. Pretty significant losses, actually, but nothing like as significant as Ulm's. If we look at the battle, all told, they lost 22 of their Akok-Runa spearmen, who are not expensive. They lost only 5 of their Condors, 5 of their Condor warriors, a single human warrior. They did lose 9 Sun Guards, which are one of their other recruitable sacred unit, with the magical sun maces. Honestly, not really worth it, at least not against Ulm for sure. And then they lost all of their mercenaries, but they don't care about the mercenaries. So casualty-wise, half the casualties were mercenaries, most of the rest were very cheap spammable units, and Ulm lost their entire, well, Ulm didn't lose their entire army, but they lost more than half of their army, including half of their guardians, most of their black plate, and their commander. I'm sorry, their prophet. So very, very bad. I, meanwhile, had a troll event, and I have a silver mine in Frosted Peaks, which gives me 40 extra gold, so I'm happy about that. My army has assembled in the Blightlands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 mages, so we've got 8 slaves and 8 casters. We are moving into Besiege Ulm. We have total siege strength of 167, so that is going to take quite some time without a whole lot more units. And so I intend to send a whole lot more units, basically. So we're going to get Starwalled moving down towards Ulm. We've already got Ujin moving down towards Ulm. Down here, we're recruiting a whole bunch of mages. We've got units recruiting there. We've got units here. What I'm going to do is actually cancel that and recruit. I would like to recruit 2 generals, which will require me to save some gold somewhere. So where can I save some gold? I was starting to recruit a Celestial Master this turn. What I can do is I can swap that out for an Imperial Alchemist, cancel that, and then I can recruit 2 generals here. And those 2 generals will pick up troops from these forts and ferry them down. So overall, I'll get like 300 or so troops besieging Ulm, and crack the fort and go in. And with my Mindburn communions, I should be okay. Now that my forts are all freed up, I've got this fort, this fort, this fort, this fort, that province, and pretty soon this province, all recruiting mages. So these 2, I'll be able to dedicate the Imperial Geomancers coming out of these 2 forts to reinforce the attack on Ulm. So just this one term, we'll get 2 generals, and then we'll go back to recruiting Imperial Geomancers. Meanwhile, over here, it sure looks like Ashdod is beating the hell out of Jotunheim. That's what seems to be happening. Now, they've also got a bunch of Ictiids up here. Cute little Ictiids. Looks like they've got an Ictiid province. Atlantis is in this pond up here. This lake, I should say. That's far more than a pond, which means that Pelagia is the one that's alone. And that also indicates, if Atlantis is down here, that means that Is is up here, and that means that Ermor is somewhere in this region. Which is fine. Fine by me. I already knew that, actually. I knew Ermor was on the other side of the world from me. So that's okay with me. I've been contacted about attacking Bandar Log, and basically I sent them a message saying, I mean, I'm not opposed, but I'm a little busy right now, so we'll talk about it again later. And Satis and Celeria continue to skirmish. So, for me, my coming plans. In a couple turns, I'll have Evocation level 5. That will enable me to enact my very favorite strategy of dropping many, many rocks, which is fantastic for Tianxi, and is good against Ulm if Ulm has a lot of infantry, because Ulmish infantry are otherwise hard to kill, but if you're dropping rocks on them, they die pretty easily. After I have rock dropping, I'm going down Alteration for buffs. I'm going to get Alteration level 4, which will give me Wind Guide, Body Ethereal, and Swarm. Those are the 3 that are valuable for me. It'll also give me Quickness and Slow, although I can't use them. Well, if I start pumping out Masters of the Way, I'll be able to use those. And then after that, we're going to go down Thaumaturgy to Soul Slay, and then we're going to start working down Conjuration. And we're going to hit usually you want Conjuration level 5 pretty early. I'm sort of gambling by not doing that. Summoning Elementals, I don't know. It's a useful strategy, but it's not my favorite. So we're going to go down Conjuration to level 6 after we've gotten all those goals done. So by turn, what turn is it right now? Turn 21? By turn 40 or so, we should have Conjuration level 6 and be able to really start summoning Celestial Soldiers. And Huli Jing as well. Having a bunch of Huli Jing would be really nice. After that, after that, we're going to have to start developing some more advanced combat strategies. Although, frankly, having a very powerful ability to drop rocks will carry you pretty far, even against Ashdod. Since I know that Nasajin did not take a Hellbless from his scales, that means that one Gifts from Heaven meteor will kill an Anakite if it lands on them. And so you'll have to excuse my awkward pauses. I'm struggling with congestion. So in any case, yeah, Anakites die to Gifts from Heaven just like anybody else, unless they have Fortitude and Blood Bond, which effectively Blood Bond, which effectively quarters the damage they receive, in which case they can survive one, and the second will kill them. In terms of province defense, the eunuchs are doing well. We're up to 16 there, 12 there, 14 there. Kaishan has got his laboratory built. Excellent. So I want to start recruiting crystal sorceresses. That's going to cost me 105 gold. Let's cancel those guys out real quick. Don't need a whole lot more of them right now. We'll set those on repeat. And who should we get? We can get Imperials. We can get Imperial City Guard, Imperial Footmen. For the chaff functionality, Imperial Footman will do better, but okay, as Gifts from Heaven starts to become important in strategy, meaning as you hit evocation level 5, as Tianqi, you want to start moving towards cheaper infantry, because if you hit a square full of Imperial Footmen with Gifts from Heaven, you lose more than if you hit a square full of Footmen with Gifts from Heaven. So ideally, you would just be recruiting normal Footmen. However, in this particular case, it doesn't actually matter, because the only difference is I can only recruit so many of them anyway, but the Imperial Footmen use up my resources more effectively and will function better when they are not being hit by rocks. So we'll go for them. Yeah, and regular archers. I'm like, I can't think of a reason I would want to recruit regular archers unless I was rapidly building towards having flaming arrows active. In which case, range 40 composite bow standard archers would work very well. But for now, we'll get some Imperial. I could get Imperial Footmen or... yeah, or just a few cavalry. So yeah, we'll stick with the Imperial Footmen. And it's very even. I end up with 0 gold. Yay, I love it. Makes me happy. The Imperial Alchemists, will recruit a couple more of them, and we'll also start recruiting Celestial Masters. Probably in 6 or 8 turns, we'll start pumping out Celestial Masters from the capital instead of Imperial Alchemists. And that will be our way to go. Now, it is early winter right now, so one thing that we do want to do is we will want to recruit next turn. We will want to recruit an alchemist in each of our forts because they have Imperial Geomancers. Actually, we might as well just go ahead and recruit an alchemist now. Oh, just a little bit short on gold. There you go, recruit an alchemist. Okay, great. That'll be fine. These places are unlikely to have somebody get a disease because they have very few old fogies in them. And if they do, we can just recruit an alchemist then. But having one here will be nice. So, that is turn 21. For future strategy, obviously we're going to be grinding down Ulm, which will, as I said, take several turns because they do have 750 wall integrity. After we take Ulm, we'll be faced with an interesting question, which is, what do we do about Nazca? And sort of the two schools there will be, well, either we immediately go to war with Nazca and try to kill them, or we use Nazca as an ally to break someone else who might otherwise be tough, like Cetis or Ashdod. I anticipate that Ashdod is going to win against Jotunheim. I certainly don't see them losing. They look like they're winning for sure. And Nazca is like allying with Nazca is like riding a tiger, right? It's one thing to not fight them early on when you're weak and they're very strong, but as the game goes on, they're not going to stop being Nazca, as it were. So it is an interesting question. An interesting question. We're going to take Zhang Fei down to that fort to start pumping up the province defense there. The province defense right here is actually 0. So Yu Kang can come down here. We've already got 16 there. Great. Okay, mage production is really starting to take off. Research is starting to spike. Things are going pretty well. And, of course, Ulm just lost more than half of their troops. So we should be able to take this place pretty easily. I may not deploy Gifts from Heaven against them, because Mind Burn will be fairly effective and fairly efficient, more importantly. And so I may stick with that. I've just realized I don't have an alchemist with the army, and that could be important. And Yi I don't think can get down there in time. Okay, well, we're just gonna have to live with that. One of these guys might get a disease, so what I'll do actually is cancel the cavalry, cancel him, recruit an alchemist, and some more infantry for chaffing purposes. Get a crossbow there. Okay, great. So we'll take that alchemist that we recruit and send him down to Ulm to join the army. He should be able to stop anybody from dying of any diseases. which is all I'll need. And so that'll be the plan there. Alright, so see you in turn 22. Alright, folks, so it's turn 22, and everything's pretty much going to code. If we view the battle in Ulm, we attacked Ulm with our little army here. We've got our mages staggered out across the back. We've got our long lines of infantry and all that up here. For some reason, a bunch of my red guard got, like, stuck behind my infantry, which... a little bit disappointing, but everything worked out alright in any case. The enemy crossbows got about a volley and a half off on me. The mine burn really did work. And overall, we lost just a couple units, 2 Imperial City Guard and 3 Imperial Horsemen. The Imperial Geomancers, 17 kills. Very, very, very solid. That's about 2 kills per caster. And if we look at the battle at the end of the battle, they should have been pretty much... They didn't even bother to cast Power of the Spheres or anything. They did summon Earth Power, though, so they should have been basically fatigue neutral at the end of the battle. So, yeah, Communion Master, 29 fatigue. Communion Slave, 42 fatigue, with the 4 reinvigoration. Let's see if they get another cast and see what effect that has. Okay, so that's another round of casts. So now we're at fatigue 29 and fatigue, yeah, 44. So we're basically not building up fatigue. So great, that's all going well. Walls are only lightly damaged, because of course my army does not have hugely high siege strength, 160, and the fortification has a 750 integrity, so until we've done 375 points of damage, it won't show as moderately damaged. That should give us a couple turns to get more troops moving down this way. Shen Yi has 35 units. He's actually going to move south and then head down there. Tianguan is going to go over here, pick up some troops. We've got a whole bunch there. Ugen is taking his 40 units down south, and then Rhetoric and Danthiol are going to take their 50 or so units down south. We're splitting up more commanders to these 2 provinces. Right now, this eunuch is just holding ground, and we need to stop recruiting 2 generals here and go back to recruiting them. Now, that leaves us with a bunch of resources, but no recruitment points, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap out... I can't really do that. Darn. Curses, foiled again. Could I swap out for Ministry Footmen? Not quite. Darn. I have a whole bunch of unused resources then. That's disappointing. And yeah, Imperial units is how I use more resources than recruitment points. I can get down to 75. Well, we need some chaff. We'll keep recruiting chaff there. And over here, we actually have a few resources and a whole bunch of recruitment points. So, what I may do is just add a couple more footmen, use up some of those recruitment points, or we could start recruiting some horsemen as well. Since horsemen use a lot more resources, a lot more recruitment points than resources. Yeah, let's grab some Imperial horsemen, and we'll be good there. Okay, so... Still recruiting everywhere, still researching up here, still researching with these ladies. We've gotten a Nature 2, which is pretty cool. And everything overall is pretty much going well. Yazi here is going to move up north. New Yu is also going to go with him in order to search that spot. The fact that we get this free province defense is really nice, just because it means, I mean, like 19 province defense is not all that much of a deterrent. But it just means that we're likely to inflict a little bit of minor attrition pretty much every turn. Yuqiang is going to build up the province defense here in Bethine. And yeah, overall we're doing well. And also, the other nice things about eunuchs is that, of course, they are standard leaders, and they're not expensive. They're actually cheaper than standard independent commanders. So you can use them in that way. You can use them as commanders, and having a bunch of eunuchs kind of floating around means that you always have a commander handy. So, going fine. We're getting another Imperial Alchemist up here. I'm contemplating going back to recruiting some more Imperial or Heavy Horsemen. Once again, I have a lot of recruitment points available. So, like, I could easily cut those out and do like that. Let's go... another crossbow there, and then a couple, and then another footman. And 5 Imperial horsemen. Okay, that's fine. The numbers are good and all, but I also want some cavalry for flanking. Just to keep the risk of being flanked fresh in my enemy's minds at all times. Yazi was going over there. Actually, Yazi should go over here and build a temple here in Darkwoods so that I can start recruiting Masters of the Way. Because having a few Masters of the Way floating around certainly won't hurt. And, yeah, then everything is pretty solid. So Nazca has gone over here. They've already broken that palisade in one fell swoop. Also, we befriended some magic beings in Tianxi, meaning we got 2 Lamias for free, and Lamias are fantastic. They've got very high regeneration. Their stats are not fantastic, but they have a life drain attack, as well as their claw. So, and then if they die, of course, they just turn into a black serpent and keep fighting and still have the regeneration. So they're very, very tough. They're excellent bodyguards. I'm just going to leave them here for now. I don't have a great use for them right at the moment. They're not technically magical either, so standard commanders can lead them. So, yeah, very solid. Over here, it definitely looks like Nasajin is winning his war against Jotunheim. I've been talking about Ermor. Ermor, like I said, is right over here somewhere. Seems like nobody but Is is really fighting Ermor, which is worrisome. However, people have said that Ermor is not doing well, so I'm not too immediately concerned with him right at the moment. I'm keeping an eye on that situation, though. I am concerned about it. Also, getting the Forges of Ulm will instantly kick my Earth Gem income up to 7, which will be fantastic. That would be great. So, that's the turn. You can see down here, that's Solaria. Solaria seems to have been pushed back out of Cetician lands, at least up in the north. But then Cetis itself is somewhere over here. I need more scouts. I do not have enough scouts. I want to stick to recruiting mages, though. I could spend a couple turns just pumping out scouts here. Or possibly even Imperial consorts. I tried to infiltrate Pangaea and failed. I'm going to try one more turn, and then Ying Ying is going to run, because I think they might try to patrol her out otherwise. But I'd really, really like to infiltrate Pangaea. I don't know what governs the success of an infiltration order, but her record hasn't been great so far. In any case, we are pretty solid right now. We've got Ulm under siege. I don't think they can break out effectively. Research-wise, we will hit Evocation level 5 this round, this turn, and then after that we're going to go down Alteration. I do want Thaumaturgy level 5. That said, I may leave it for now. Soul Slay is good, but against humans, Mind Burn is actually almost as good. And beyond that, a lot of these spells I can't really do until I have boosters anyway. Growing Fury, it can be nice. And the Ravenous Swarm can be useful in certain highly specific situations. But for right now, what I'm thinking is I cancel those out, I grab Construction level 4. And then probably Conjuration 5. I don't know. We'll do Construction level 4. I do have Construction level 2, and I'm not sure if that opens up. What does that open up for me again? Yeah, that doesn't open up anything fantastic. The Clam of Pearls is actually a really, really good item for me, because I can use it to get my astral boosts with free gems. And it costs nature and water gems, but I actually have both of those. So what I can do is I can actually have these ladies forge clams of pearls very, very easily. Now, I have access to the Dwarven Hammer, but unfortunately I don't have any Earth level 3s to forge them with. In order to get that, I'm going to have to get an Imperial Alchemist with an Earth random, put a pair of boots on him, or a Celestial. The Celestial Masters can't even random Earth 2, so it has to be an Imperial Alchemist. As soon as I get an Earth 2 Imperial Alchemist, I'm going to keep recruiting them for several turns. I think I said that in the last one. Get an Earth 2, put a pair of boots on him, have him forge a couple of hammers. I think that will definitely pay off, because as Tianqi, I would benefit from forging certain items quite a bit. I do need Construction level 4, because I don't have access to the Earth Astral Crosspath items that I need. And then once I have boots, I can also put boots on a Celestial Master who has randomed Astral, And then I have 2 Earth, 2 Astral. Then I've broken fully into Crystal Coins and eventually Crystal Shields and all that good stuff. So, things are going pretty well. Bibal, the Child of Oni. That's a hero of theirs, and I don't know which one. It's from the Worthy Heroes mod, I'm sure. But we'll see how things are going. So, that's turn 22. I will see you all in turn 23 as our armies continue to close in on Ulm. We should have about another... Like, what is that? We've got... None of these units are moving this turn. Over here, we've got Shen Yi moving. So next turn... So 2 turns, we'll have these extra 35 units. And then the next turn, we'll have 40 plus this recruitment plus all these. So another 70 or so. So the army will double in size in the next 3 turns. Or almost double in size. And we'll just kind of see how it goes. So, thanks very much. I'll see you all in turn 23. Alright, Mandala turn 23. This is actually a pretty brief turn. We've got mages up here. We're searching for sites. We are building a temple in Dark Woods in order to start recruiting Masters of the Way for what they can do, which isn't all that much, but they are useful. And hey, more mages are always good. Over here, still casting Arcane Probing. We can actually look at the messages. We have found nothing with it, but we will continue. Satis has made a Revenant their prophet, which is interesting. And apparently Asuka the Morgan Princess died, so they've made Asuka 2 a prophet now. We failed to infiltrate Pangea. We'll keep trying. I would like to see their graphs. In Behemoth's Rest, we have Dominion decreasing, which honestly I don't care about too much, because all I'm using this province for is to pump out Crystal Sorceresses. Crystal Amazons, I don't need. I have access to better archers already. And Pegasus Riders. I mean, Pegasus Riders are okay, but they're not fantastic, and they require a ton of recruitment points, and this province doesn't have a ton of recruitment points, so I couldn't really mass them up anyway. And of course, I have a fort next door, and I don't want to take the resources away from it. So, like, if this province wants to be a neutral dominion, who cares? I do need, once I have that temple here, I will spread my dominion hopefully into Bithine, which will be nice. Meanwhile, the armies are collapsing on Ulm. We're still we are moderately damaged. I think this is the first turn we've been moderately damaged. And should take probably 2-3 more turns before we break down the walls. We'll see how it goes. Meanwhile, we're recruiting mages everywhere, and I'm starting to look for new targets. Shinuyama might be a good next target. Jotunheim might be a good new target, unless Ashdod has already eaten all of them. And if they have, then Ashdod might be a decent target, because Scales Ashdod isn't nearly so scary. And, you know, I might rather take Ashdod out before they get disastrously strong. I don't know. I'm thinking about it. I am thinking about it real hard. What I do know is I don't want to fight Nazca at this point in the game. I would rather fight them later when I have summons, and I have more magic, when I have Celestial Soldiers on the field, when I have better combat spells, all that kind of stuff. Now, this turn, I did hit Evocation level 5, so I do have Gifts from Heaven available. I'm not going to use it in the Siege of Ulm, because I think there aren't many units in there, and I would rather not murder all my own troops. So what I'm going to do is, I have Cestius right here. When I break the walls, I'm going to send Cestius in to double check exactly what's inside the fort. It'll take 1 more turn, but spending 1 more turn in order to be sure I'm not walking into a trap is worth it. And then I'll go in with the army, and then I guess I'll make the call at that point whether I need Gifts from Heaven or Mind Burn spam. But, we'll see. The way I've got my communion set up, I can maintain Gifts from Heaven spam for several rounds before I start to run into fatigue issues. Like, I think I could probably maintain it for 10 or 15 rounds before running into fatigue issues. Off script, these guys shouldn't destroy themselves, especially with Earth Power up, because they will tend to default to basic, like, Earth Evocations. And Earth Evocations are not super high fatigue. Like, well, except Blade Wind. They do love to cast Blade Wind off script in my experience. And that's pretty high fatigue. Yeah, that would be 2 or 3 fatigue per cast to all the slaves, so... However, they do also often cast astral spells, like Mind Burn. Mind Burn is almost pretty much no fatigue in this communion. Or Far Strike. Far Strike can actually be kind of a hilarious spell. It actually does a ton of damage. It's 17 plus the strength of the caster, which is 9 in this case. Or 8, I'm sorry, depending on... yeah, 8. So it's like 25 damage. Against low armored troops, it can be shockingly effective. But Mind Burn is a better spell, although it does... The benefit of Far Strike is that it doesn't require it doesn't give them a magic resistance check. You just cast it and punch them off from across the field, so it's sort of hilarious. In any case, Siege is going. A couple more turns, we'll have about 100 more troops there, and that should speed things up. And in the meantime, we're gathering armies in the north and eyeing Shinuyama predatorily, sort of salivating a little bit. Another option might be... my mouse got stuck on the edge of my screen there for a second. Another option might be to attack Bandar Log. That could be a decent one. That would probably be a pretty mind duel heavy war, I want to say, because we've both got cheap astral mages. If we look at pretenders here, see, they've got yogis, which are actually cheaper than my Imperial Geomancers, but don't have earth. They're just astral 1. And then they have gurus, which are more expensive, but are astral nature mages. So probably what I would see against them, and they have the rishis as well, which is their other paths, but capital only, slow to recruit. Excuse me. I imagine what I'd see against them is a lot of astral buffs, a lot of ethereal elephants, and a lot of swarm. And I can deal with that. I mean, that's not too much of a problem. But we'll see. We will see where we want to go. So that is turn 23. I will see you all in turn 24.